Hi, in the previous video, we were learning about the profitability of the companies, and we were also looking at the sales and marketing expenses and the research and development expenses. And the question in the class was, how do we control and how do we evaluate if the percentage of the sales and marketing expenses or research and development expenses or any other expenses are in line or are appropriate? Well, there are a few things that you can use in order to evaluate whether you are on par with the sales and marketing expense, research and development expenses or not. The one is the budget. The companies normally prepare a budget, annual plans, and then okay, they say how much of the money they will be spending on research and development expenses, how much money they will be spending on the sales and marketing expenses. So the one yardstick is going to compare against those budgeted plans, because the sales and marketing expenses and research and development expenses as compared to the other operating expenses does not relate with current year revenue. They are related with the future year revenue. So if you are doing research and development, you are not doing for this year. You are developing the product which the company will be selling in future, right? You are doing marketing for your products, so those the benefit of that marketing or sales expenses are not going to impact only in this year, is also going to affect the future years. If you are spending less money or your revenues are compared to the your expenses compared to your revenue is falling behind the industry and standards and the industry averages, you are putting your company at a risk of falling behind compared to the competitors or being dropping in the sales in the future. It may happen that either you may want to hide the expenses in order to show the greater profitability. Means you may capitalize certain market expenses, you may capital the companies can capitalize certain research and development expenses, which is going to the profit and loss, which is going to the balance sheet, which means that this year current research and development expenses are going to be less and the profitability will be higher. Companies may do that to show a good performance or a better performance, but you have to evaluate if there is a significant drop in expenses or the profit the drop off between compared to this year and last year is nearby the margin, or the margin of the profit is very thin. There may be a chance that the company might have moved some expenses to the capital side and to hide it, right? And in order to show it a profitable situation. So you may need to look at the other capitalized other assets when which are going to increase because you are hiding the expenses. They may hide under the current assets, they may hide under the fixed assets. So you may have to see, is there any increase in the fixed assets? Was it because of the new investments, or was it because of the sales and research and development expenses being capitalized? So that was the question. So in order to evaluate whether the company is spending enough or not, you have only few yardsticks. One is budget. Another aspect of measuring it is the industry standards. So you may have to calculate what are the industry averages of marketing expenses compared to the revenue, or what are the marketing expenses or research and development expenses compared to the other. In the next video, we are going to understand the difference in business models, difference in the focus, whether you are competing based on cost or whether you are competing based on the product value, may have a significant impact on the percentage of research and development expenses. Certain companies which may not be product innovative may not be spending enough money on research and development expenses, but rather than they may be spending on the marketing expenses because they have to sell more in order to achieve the profitability. Or the companies which are running more on the branding, on the other things, they may not have to spend a lot of money on research and development expenses, but they may be sharing the profits to the third party influencers or the stores who may be, or distributors who may be selling on behalf of the company. So it depends on what are the business model of the company. So you have to understand how the company is operating its business in order to understand that the money that the company is spending on either research and development or on sales and marketing or on any other expense is reasonable or not. The companies may have business model to run more on fixed labor or doing everything in-house, means their labor cost compared to the revenue will be very high, right? But there may be other companies who may have a different business model of using third party companies, right? Third party manufacturers. So in which case the labor cost will be lower, however the cost of other sales will be higher. So it depends on what kind of business model company choose. You have to evaluate that business model first and then relate it with the ratios, rather than understanding the ratios and then see why is it different from the industry. So that was the profitability ratio. In the next video, you will be learning about how the different business models can have a different impact on the profitability ratios, even though they may be in the same industries.